Okay, so we have come to plan business analysis information management. So this one is about storing and accessing business analysis information. So what comes to your mind when you see this storing and accessing business analysis information, Jenna?
Right. Yeah, like databases, where do you oh, so it could be like a SharePoint. Where do you
Yeah.
store all the artifacts that's related to the project?
hmm Yeah, that's, I think, pretty straightforward. You rightly said that. Plan business analysis information management. So it depends on your project, right? So yeah, as you rightly said, SharePoint location wherein a folder structure is maintained. And again, this folder structure can be a part of your governance model also. But I think if we have covered plan BA information management, then that majorly comes here because you need to highlight at what location you would be uploading the business cases, the business need documents, the requirements document. Is there any mock-up, mock-up list that you have created? Are there any screenshots? Where is all that information going in? Are there any meeting notes you're uploading? Is there any stakeholder list? So all that will go into information management. And when you're planning for that, you're actually saying how you're going to store that information. So what is the input? We have BA approach that we will use in order to do information management, stakeholder engagement approach, and governance approach. So the output is business analysis information management approach. How to develop business analysis information management plan. So how to develop, the inputs are here, and we are going to see in a while how to develop this BA information management plan so that we get information management approach. Okay. There are certain elements that we need to be aware before we actually start thinking about information management. The first element that you see here is organization of BA information, business analysis information. So, Gina, what do you think about that? Organization of BA information?
So I would say, just going back to the SharePoint model, organizing it in folders, templates, BRDs, and then any other related documents, just to have a central repository.
Yeah, I completely get your point. But I wanted to add one point to that.
Uh-huh.
If your organization is having a center of excellence, which means the BAs are there, then as a BA community, maybe you can come up with a standard way of storing the documents related to business analysis information, right? Because each project follows its own way of storing the documents.
Right.
Although there might be some standardization behind that, but that but there are certain things that can be done to improve business analysis information management. So if you have center of excellence, maybe you can reach on a consensus among BAs, saying that, okay, guys, whatever BA work is done, we are going to store it in this way. This can be the folder structure. If you have any other creative ways of storing this information, you can come up with that. We can certainly discuss that, but let's have some standardization, right? Why this is important? Because let's say you are a BA today, and tomorrow there is a new joinee who comes up, and that new joinee has to do some document analysis. It would become very difficult for that person to roam around and run after people to get that information because uh, I mean during the time when that information has been sitting there, either it is outdated or it is very difficult to access. So that's one reason. And another reason is you said that you have been storing your documents on SharePoint. There could be certain teams who are actually using other tools to, upload these documents. I myself have seen this in organization. wherein some teams are storing the documents on one folder structure, and there is another team who is using the Confluence page in order to store their the links to those documents.
Right.
Right. So this makes it difficult for other BAs to have a cross-domain analysis. So that's why we need to understand how organization of BA information is important. Secondly, the level of abstraction. So level of abstraction is, of course, I mean, you need to be aware that at what level do you want the information to be stored. So there could be some notes that you took out of a meeting wherein there is some important information which could be important for other domain, but for your domain, it's not that important. So what you will do is you will just update your BRD and then you will upload that BRD. That is one way of doing it, right?
Yeah.
Another way could be that so you got that information. Maybe you can summarize that information and can you can upload it at some online learning center. So I'm not sure how in your company it happens. There are companies wherein they have sort of content related to knowledge management, right? So there could be a document that could be a part of knowledge management also, even if it is not related to your project, right? So we need to understand what level of abstraction we need to provide to this document storage. So does that help?
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Mhm. So you need to plan traceability approach. You need to plan for requirements reuse, which means you need to, I think this comes under information management because you need to store requirements in a way that they can be reused, which means, so if there are two streams in a project and each stream is separately storing their documents, but the high level requirement is same. So that high level requirement should be stored in a way that it can be traced back by both the projects. So that's how your information management should be. And then the storage and access part as to uh, for how long that information is available. So in most of the companies, there are certain regulatory requirements that you should retain certain documents for 4 years, 5 years, 7 years. So depending on your company's policy, you can have that storage and access to that information, right?
Right.
So requirement attributes. Requirement attributes are like, uh, so you might want to store requirements on the basis of their attributes too. Let's say there are front-end requirements, there are database requirements, there are services requirements, or or is it that you want to store business requirements separately from stakeholder requirements? So depending on the attributes, you can do that. Is it that you only want to keep high level requirement, low level requirement, medium level? Or is it that out of Moscow you don't want to keep, won't have requirements? So it's just how you want to be creative about storing this information. But you need to have it as a part of your plan that if your requirement is stored somewhere, uh, what attributes of those requirements should be there, retained, so that that requirement can be accessed easily. That's what. Is it? It could be non-functional requirements. Do you really want to keep them? The answer is no. There is no point in storing them. That's how I see the requirement attributes. There are certain guidelines and tools while planning BA information management. So BA performance assessment is something which you should understand uh, because you need to be sure that you're storing the information in the right places, and that could be one of your criteria for BA performance assessment. It should not be that your documents are lying in emails or on your drives, and other stakeholders or your co-BAs are struggling to find out that information. So it's good if it is on a shared location as soon as possible. And then you need to know your business policies around information management. It should not be that there are certain documents which are lying on your desk wherein client sensitive information is written on them, and you just left them on your desk, and you're not bothering it to you're not bothering to dispose them off or to keep them logged in. So that is also an important part of information document. You might have taken a printout of a document which you wanted to analyze, but you just left for the day, and then that's lying around. If it is confidential information, that's what I mean.
Right.
Otherwise, it's fine. Information management tools, SharePoint, you said. There are other tools too. So whatever your organization follows, you should understand them. It will help you to store your information in a better way. And then legal and regulatory information too. So there are legal requirements around information storage. So you should be aware of that, and you should be able to comply with that when you're storing information. So business policies and legal information, sometimes they overlap, but they are explained separately as per BABOK. Okay. So now we have techniques. Brainstorming you will see everywhere, because whenever you try to come up with planning, you brainstorm. And if you want to ask any question, you might want to interview someone, you might want to send survey and questionnaire, and you might want to conduct workshop for information management. And then, of course, you want to track the items, whatever items came up from those discussions. Lessons learned, you want to adapt yourself, mind mapping, and process modeling. You want to do. So, do you have any question on these
No.
things? Mhm.
What is item tracking?
Item tracking is to keep a track of issues that crop up.
Okay.
So maybe you are creating an issue log, right?
Right.
So you need to keep a log of. So you are managing that information somehow. So you might have heard about RAID log,
Right.
RAID, yeah, risk issues and all of that, assumptions, all of that. So you keep a track of all those items, right? So that's item tracking technique, because you need to manage that information
Right.
and you need to plan how you're going to do that. So that's how it is. Stakeholders, regulators, sponsor, and domain subject matter experts. So you don't see project manager here, because from project management perspective, how business analysis information is managed, it's not that important here. I mean, that's what BABOK thinks. Unless project manager is interested in that part, of course, the stakeholder list can change. But if you get a question which says that so Mr. Smith just joined a BA team and he's looking to store this information, which are the stakeholders he should consider while storing that information? So you may have these three items as yes to that.